In my last video, I defined the word iatrogenic, which means that what you're suffering from was not caused by a virus or an act of God or something like that, but is or something natural like that, what was caused by the medical system. So if you're suffering from something iatrogenic, it tends to make you kind of angry. And looking around you and seeing a lot of other people suffering too, especially little kids, that makes you even angrier. And people with mercury toxicity who tend to have trouble with intrusive thoughts, this could be a really big problem. S.N. Goenka was a famous meditation teacher, and I read one of his books years ago, and he said that anger can be a very powerful tool if you know how to use it skillfully. But I don't think that I have quite that level of skill yet, and so I try to steer clear if I can. It just gets me into trouble. So let me tell you a story about me and anger. A bunch of years ago, I signed up for a meditation retreat at Insight Meditation Society in Barre, Massachusetts. It was a 1.5-month long retreat, which is really long and really hard work, and it was ambitious for me. I got lost driving down there, and I got really upset, and I kind of crashed my adrenals. So when I arrived, I wasn't in very good shape. And then I proceeded to, you have to meditate all day, like walking meditation, sitting meditation, walking meditation, sitting meditation all day. And that's hard work. And I was dealing with a lot of physical pain in my body. And I also got a terrible case of insomnia. So I wasn't sleeping at all the whole 6 weeks. So I wasn't in very good shape, and I was suffering a lot. So one evening, sitting in the meditation hall, dealing with all this pain and fatigue, I looking around at all these other people that seemed to be blissfully meditating. I started to have looping angry thoughts. And these angry thoughts were about, who had put me in this situation? How come I was sick? And I was getting kind of angry at dentists. And so I had all these bad thoughts, bitter thoughts about the dental profession coming up. And at one point I looked over my shoulder and I saw this little creature manifesting. It was a female, and she was dead ugly. She looked like she was made out of roots and twigs, and she had a smirk on her face. And I looked at this thing and I practically jumped out of my skin. And I stopped thinking those bad thoughts immediately, and she disappeared. Well, a couple of days later, I went to my 15-minute interview with a teacher, and I described what had happened. And this teacher had a lot of experience with Tibetan Buddhist practice, and she said to me, "Oh yeah, you have to watch out for those things. They feed on your bad emotions. You better be careful, or she'll wind up being your best friend." And I didn't want that thing as my best friend, so I was more careful after that, because she didn't look like she meant well to anybody. So now when I start feeling angry thoughts, and I think they're going to get into a loop, I'll try to think about something else first. And if that doesn't work, I'll try to bring a little bit of perspective to it, a little bit of distance, and watch as these thoughts build up and then subside and dissipate, like everything does in this creation. So finally, I'd like to encourage anybody who's listening to this to take up some kind of spiritual practice. It may seem as though nothing is happening, especially for us mercury toxic people who can't concentrate worth beans. But something is. It really helps. It's the same as when you grind out these chelation rounds. You may think that nothing's happening, but it is. In the long run, it's really going to pay off for you. And the way a spiritual practice will help you develop equanimity and patience, chelating is going to get you non-toxic, so you may need less.